Great Wi-Fi system. No longer have dead spots in my 4200 SQFT house. The only wish I have is for Netgear to add VLAN capability. Took less than 10 minutes to set up. I am officially impressed. Netgear Orbi Pro is literally the best Wi-Fi router I've ever used. Using one satellite mesh network, I am able to get full speed, as much as I pay for, anywhere in my house and beyond. I've had, most recently, the Google Wi-Fi mesh and an AC3000 band hooked up. I got about half of speed as this Orbi. I am standing at my neighbor's house and I am still at full speed. I am giving it all my thumbs up. I went to college for information technology and so many things, stages, etc., have happened in my life that I am no so up on terminology and exactly how some things work together and all that jazz. What I will say is that this was the easiest thing I've ever had to set up where internet and Wi-Fi. There are 3 units, the main hub and 2 satellites. All I did was hook the main hub into my modem, provided by Time Warner, which also happens to double as a Wi-Fi router, via an Ethernet cord. I strategically sat the 2 satellites around my house, one in the living room and one in the dining room. I tried putting one in the bedroom, but the app would not pick up the reception. You then download the app and follow the on-screen directions. The app will send out a signal and tell you if it picks up the satellites. Once it does, it is ready. It comes with a network password. I have not changed it yet, but will soon as I figure out how. I now have the streaming products, Roku, Fire, security cameras and our cell phones on this system, and they run a lot better. Once I understand it more, and as I understand it now, I will have to eventually call Time Warner, Spectrum and tell them to turn off my Wi-Fi on their end. Before I do that, I want to make sure this is working well. The range is up to 7,500 square feet. My house is a little over 1,800 square feet, so I think I am alright. If I had one con of this product at this time, it would be the price. Wowza! I am learning more and more about this and am on my way to becoming a pro. I have been in the IT world for 14 years so far and I have completed hundreds of fields communication projects. Anywhere from small office Wi-Fi APS, to large office building Wi-Fi AP, or mesh to field point-to-point and mesh networks. After completing some research on finding the most robust APS in a form of mesh or standalone, I found this Netgear Orbi Pro as one of its kind that's available for consumers at an acceptable price. The performance is great, no loss of throughput or drop zones, penetrates very well through dry walls and metal sheets. It made me switch from Ubiquiti Amplify HD Mesh to this at a blink of an eye. I was tasked with finding a router that would work well to provide connectivity to the entirety of our office. Our office is split into 2 different sides connected with a long hallway, which led to me looking into mesh router systems and ultimately landing on this device. That ended up being a fantastic decision. I put the router at one end of the hallway and the satellite at the other end of the hallway. I did have some slight issues connecting the 2 together, but they may have just been due to the distance apart. The connection out of these things is seamless once you get it set up. No matter where I walk in the office or who is using the connection, it seems to work well. We're getting close to the speeds we're paying for, finally, and people are finally able to use the Wi-Fi connection without issues. The app that goes along with the device gives fantastic information and is incredibly well designed, so props to Netgear for that. Since setup, we have had zero issues with this mesh router system, so I recommend it. This mesh Wi-Fi system has been in for about a week with few issues. I am using this system in my 2-story home and detached workshop and, for the first time since we moved in, have full saturation of wireless signal in all rooms and even in the patio and yard. I have been very pleased with the performance, but I only have one teenager in the house, so we may not be stressing the system as much as a business would. I was intimidated by some of the reviews for this product, so I took the installation seriously and tried to prepare myself for the possibility. I began to follow the setup instructions included with the kit, which led me to download the Orbi app. I am normally put off at having to add yet another app just to get something new to work. I methodically followed the instructions on the app and had the router set up in about 30 minutes, which included downloading new firmware. Once I tested the signal, I set up the 3 satellites around my home, one at a time, again using the app for the setup. Each satellite probably took 10 to 15 minutes to set up and connect. Since the router is downstairs and at one end of the house, I put 2 satellites at the other end of the house, one upstairs and one downstairs and one in the detached workshop. My internet provider has a combined modem and router into one unit. Daisy chaining the ISP router to the Orbi router as opposed to directly to a modem worked just fine and had the advantage of preserving the original wireless signal. The first night I streamed shows from the Orbi network, the signal dropped after a few hours. I switched back to the old network, which worked but had a very low bandwidth. That is the only time that I have noted a drop in the network, and I feel that it was probably related to the low bandwidth I was getting from my ISP. It has not been unusual for my internet to drop out, particularly at night, and I think the Orbi network suffers when bandwidth is low. The products came very well packed and organized and in a heavy, corrugated box, which I like. The router and satellites that transmit the radio signal are fairly large tombstones that each have 3 or 4 network outputs. They have a base that can be added to the bottom for more stability and a cover for the power wire or network wires entering the back. I mounted one to the wall in my workshop mostly to see how it would look, and I ended up flipping it over so I wouldn't see the bottom of the mounting plate. I am delighted with the performance so far. The installation was very straightforward and undoubtedly improved by the app. I found the Netgear Orbi Pro SRR60 AC3000 tri-band router to be an odd product. They immediately hit you with Pro in the name, and position as a large home, small office type solution, but is it? The first thing I was struck with when unboxing the unit was its unusual shape and size. The unit comes with the necessary hardware to mount or stand in a variety of ways. The wall bracket includes a quick release for the router, which is handy. I placed the unit on a work table for my testing. Despite the SRR60 looking like a sci-fi obelisk, there are no mini SMA type external antennas, with Netgear instead opting for internal antennas. Status light codes are flashed through gaps in the top of the device, which is not as bad as it sounds. It's subtle and ISNT RGB. Closing parenthesis dot. Starting the setup is straightforward enough. You connect to the device's SSID using the information printed on the bottom of the unit. Once connected, you use a web browser to navigate to a host name that's overridden in the device's hosts file, probably. You can also use 192. 168. 1. Yep, this thing comes with DHCP on, so be careful if you are plugging it into your LAN with the intention of having ITASNAP only. A wizard appears, asking you to pick the operating mode of the SRR60 router or access point. I was not aware that it could just do AP duties. I wanted the device to be a router. Next, you are asked to set up Orbi satellites, which is probably the main draw of this product. Due to spotty Wi-Fi coverage that people complain about with single router plus AP combos or AP setups, manufacturers have been trying to get their mesh networking solutions to market as soon as possible. While extender, repeater solutions have been around for years, I think that those devices have lacked the ease of setup and use that normal consumers can be comfortable with. Devices like this, or Google's equivalent, purport to make mesh networking simple to get going without any technical expertise. While I did not try this feature, due to lack of satellites, I would imagine that the one-touch setup is convenient. Regardless, the normal convenience vs bandwidth and latency are at play here. You are next asked to change the admin password, change the SSID, and set the WPA2 password. Assuming you are connected to the router via Wi-Fi, you'll have to establish a connection to the new Orbi SSID. After that, the device checks for a newer firmware version. In my case, it found a newer 1.2.3.0.0 than what was installed on the router. 2.2.1.210. Click link in description for more reviews.